Many times in life, things don't go as planned. This project was one of those times. I had to resurrect an old failure to save this build. As I started to mill the wood down, I started to notice the color and the texture of the wood was very strange. And the further I milled, the deeper these cracks form. I started to cut it down dimensionally, and when I set the board down on the table, it cracked in half. This should have been a sign to me to stop where I was, but I kept pushing through. I tried to glue up the cracked piece, but when I came back the next day and milled it some more, the cracks had gotten worse. Epoxy just wasn't enough. I sat contemplating, just wondering if this was worth saving. And then I remembered one of my projects I failed, the Credenza. The Credenza was a build that I started out early in my woodworking career. I was super ambitious trying it, and I was in over my head. I made every mistake known to man, and I tried to do everything I could as I got better to fix it. But at some point, I just gave up and cut it apart and stored it away. I thought this leftover wood from the Credenza would be good for this shelf. It was pretty flat, and I could cut most of the mistakes out of it. Just had to make sure the groove matched up as I trimmed it down. I use dominoes a lot for simplicity. You can move really, really quick, and they hold pretty strong. These panels still had some movement in them, and the miters weren't quite perfect, but good enough for me this time. Here I'm cutting the center panel. I decided not to use dovetails and just use kind of a tongue and groove style. It worked just fine. Did it by hand. I'm trying to use hand tools more and more these days. I had some plywood left over from the Credenza build. I wanted the interiors to be jet black, and I thought on this floating shelf, the drawers being black would be cool too. So I cut them down to size. Again, using the domino for speed. Laying out the drawer faces now, I had some leftover walnut from a previous build, and I thought this would be great. Planning on joining it down the rough size. So if I had to do all over again, I would not have put this first set of drawer slides in. I was antsy to try them out because they were an Amazon brand, and I learned my lesson. Won't be buying drawer slides on Amazon anymore. They just weren't adjustable enough. Self-centering drill bit are so good for furniture making. I highly recommend you get some.
a little love.
Cutting 1/4 inch plywood down for the drawer bottoms. I opted to keep them the wood color to have some contrast. So you have the black sort of box with the bottom wood, natural wood color. Labeling everything. When I first started out woodworking, I did not label enough. Now I over label, because things can get confusing, especially when you have multiple drawers, multiple parts. Here I'm measuring the setup for the drawer pull. I do not like traditional drawer pulls, so I like to inset them as much as possible if it's for my things. I just don't like the way it looks. People get caught on it, hooked on it. I like everything to be inset. It makes it look clean. I have these templates available. If you like and subscribe and leave a comment template, I'll get you one. You can do multiple drawer pulls with that template. Here I'm using a European drawer pull bit, European style, pardon me, drawer pull bit, just to give a little finger pull. If you learned something from this video, give us a like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick sanding of the drawers to 220 grit because it's plywood. We don't need to start with rough grits because we don't want to grind through the veneer. So here we go. The whole idea of this project is to reuse a project that went bad. And so part of that is I had some plywood that I dyed black, and I thought it looked great as drawers. But I didn't have enough to do 2 drawers, and so as I started assembling the drawers, I had one that was black and one that was natural color. And at first I thought it would be cool, but then I realized how much it would annoy me having 2 different colored drawers. So I'm restaining all of them. I'm sanding and finishing the interiors first. It'll be too hard to get to later. I love how deep this black makes it. The only thing I wish is you could see the wood grain a little more. One of the reasons why I like to use the black, the Angelus black, is it's a very, very deep black. Some of the other black stains I've used, you still get little specks of wood grain. And if I want black on my projects, I want it to be deep, deep jet blacks, so. Here I did some spray on poly for the drawers since they'll be handled a lot. The shelf is going to be going in our entranceway. Self-centered drill bit, can't recommend it highly enough. Showed it twice. Always clamp your drawer slides. They will move around as you screw them in. One of the reasons I went with those Amazon drawer slides is these drawers are super small. They're weird dimensions, and I couldn't really find soft close ones anywhere else that were the right size, so I was kind of stuck with those. Wet toothbrush is my favorite way to get rid of squeeze out. You wipe away the excess first with a dry paper towel or shop rag, and then you use a wet toothbrush to get rid of the little bits. Works really great. perfecting the drawer face sizes. So I'm using the playing cards as shims to set my gap in my drawer face. And the carcass of this shelf came slightly out of square, I would imagine, with the weather changing. And so I have to shim these so it looks like they're all the same, the gap is the same, but in reality it's not. So, for example, this is just one playing card and this is two. And that's probably too loose, and so I gotta figure out how to do this. Chose to use walnut with white oak. A lot of my personal pieces, I like to use contrasting woods. Walnut was gonna be my first pick no matter what, but I did look around in my pile to see if there's any white oak that I liked. The original white oak was nice, but it just, I don't know if it had a fungus or what. I had to toss that initial bit for the project because it was just too cracked and messed up. To attach the drawer faces, it's already attached with the double-sided tape, but I like to come in and put a couple screws in just to give it some more strength, especially because people are gonna be pulling on it. And so what you need is, you need some clamps, any clamps you like. I like to use the F-style for this. I do 3 just so it's balanced across. You need a countersink drill bit, and then you need the bit for whatever screw you're gonna put in. I'm using pocket screws with a square drive, and so I have that square bit. This drawer is very small, and so I have to use basically a furniture assembly driver, so it has a right angle so I can get in really tight spaces. You don't need that. You can actually use a little small hand screwdriver if you want, but I like this tool. I have done quite a bit of prep work on these panels already, so I really only needed to sand 120 and 220, and then I did a water pop and then sand it again at 220 to knock down all the fibers that stood up. Part of the challenge with this project is this wood comes from another project I did that didn't work, and it cupped and twisted, and so even though I tried to cut out most of those, I still have some issues with stuff. So every time I feel like I'm about to get to the finishing point, I find something else. So it has definitely challenged me. I am a little nervous to use the router on it because this is where it could really take a chip off of it and we're ruined. So we'll see. Hang on for a bit and see if I ruin this project. Super nervous about using the router on this shelf, as you see in a moment. I used to leave a lot of square edges on my projects because I like the look of it, but if somebody bumps it, it dents and chips really easy. So I recommend always knocking the edges off of everything. That could have went really bad, so it went okay though. 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch round over a bit or chamfer bit will be fine. I'm gonna wipe this down with mineral spirits to get all the leftover sawdust out of the pores, and then we're gonna put some finish on it. The key to using mineral spirits is not to use too much. Everybody thinks you have to like soak it, and it don't. You just have to get it wiped down a little bit. Sometimes I use a tacky cloth, but lately the ones I've been buying leave residue, and so I don't like that. I'm gonna be using this for the first time. It's a UV hard wax. I did a test with it and I really like how it came out, and so I want to try it on this. Since this project's going to be used a lot, I want a good coat of hard wax on it so that it'll last a long time. The thing I found out about this UV hard wax, it is so quick and easy to use that I'll probably use it a lot more. It doesn't finish as smooth as some of my other finishes where I'm used to that silky smooth finish, but oh, it's so quick and convenient, and the wood looks really great. So I plan on using this a lot more. Same thing with the drawers. Sand to 220, water pop, sand again, knock down those fibers, spray out the grain, and then finish. You need to get a bigger UV flashlight, but I continue to use these things. So convenient. Setting up for the cleats. I decided to go with some store-bought cleats, mostly for the thin profile. Plywood cleats would have been a little too thick, and I didn't set a rabbet up for that. So it sat pretty flat. I had to stick a block underneath it so it would sit square. As you can see, it's tilting, but overall, I'm really satisfied with the look. And I'm obsessed about organization, so we can keep things put away. It'd be really nice. Great build. As I mentioned, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't use those drawer slides. They were a little bit of a challenge to work with, but it works. Wow, that one was an adventure. Using an old failure to resurrect a new failure. Overall, I'm really satisfied. This project came out really nice. There are a few things that remind me of the old project, of its quirks, but I'm gonna have to look at this every day when I come in the house, and I'm gonna have a smile on my face. Do you have any projects you had to walk away from? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.